During this meeting, we will be going over quickly on some updates, sharing with you some updates about the grounded accountability efforts. Then we will be talking a bit about the approach of storytelling and grounded accountability. Our colleagues from the regional leads and support will facilitate this session. Then we will be briefly also have a short session about the technological innovation from one of the regional leads, and we will give the space for some brainstorming and providing ideas about this approach or innovation. We will be also hearing from some of funds or innovative initiatives that were implemented under the GAM. We will be hearing from three participants who implemented initiatives, will be sharing their experiences, and our colleague Oscar then will share with us what are the next steps for the community of practice. And lastly, we will close the session by providing some announcements and to hear from you some thoughts. This is an overview of our agenda today. I would like to highlight firstly, as you can see that in this meeting, we have the interpretation for Spanish, French, and Arabic throughout all the meeting. Now, I think we can start by our agenda. Firstly, we will start by sharing some updates from the efforts done under the grounded accountability. I will start by myself providing some updates from the MENA region, and then I will open the space for our colleagues, regional leads, and support to share any updates if you have. During August, in the MENA region, particularly in Lebanon, we have conducted a capacity building training targeting 22 local civil society actors to introduce the approach of grounded accountability for those actors. So during this session, we covered the concept of GAM. We learned about some data collection approaches and methodologies that we can use while collecting GAM and everyday indicators, and how to differentiate between the grounded accountability and the traditional accountability, or in another word, the upward accountability toward the donors. After that, together with the local leaders, we carried out a data collection exercise to understand the emerging priorities for women and girls in Lebanon. And during this exercise, we asked women in local communities about what are the major changes or success they would like or they believe could improve their daily lives in their neighborhoods. So as a result of this exercise, and after capacitating the local civil society actors to participate in this, we were able to identify about 33 community-driven indicators across various thematic areas, including safety, protection, education, and political participation for women in the community. In action after this, we used these indicators and we integrated them in designing a new phase of one of our projects in Lebanon that focuses on the women, peace, and security agenda and combating violence against women and girls. That's all from my side for the last month in the MENA region. I wanted now to open the space for, firstly, for any question, and also for our colleagues, the regional leads or support, to share their updates. Any volunteer to share updates?
Thank you, Sama. Greetings, everybody. My name is Walid Kasim, the Executive Director at Muslims for Human Rights, Muhuri, Kenya, East Africa. I also happen to be one of the regional co-leads of GAM on this side. We've quite done some work on the beat. Just some regional updates is that we've tried and adapt and make sure that we implement GAM on different aspects, especially trying to harness on the peace and security sector. But at the same time, we've tried to pilot it into civic space advancement. In this, we've had meetings in Uganda together with Ugandan partners on networks of organizations to try and incorporate this. We've also proceeded ahead to have engagements with our Tanzanian counterparts so that we can just try and introduce. So we have a small, as we are part of the global network, we also have a small regional community of practice where we are having virtual engagements just to try and sensitize on the principles of GAM, how and experience sharing basically. The major development that we're doing is We understand that GAM is a long-term innovation or long-term input. So we've also been trying to try and figure out GAM, and I know in the agenda it will come out later, but to just try and also utilize GAM as a short-term intervention for specific conflict sensitivity trainings and the common ground approach, basically. GAM as a means of common ground approach or something around that. I think Emily understands that more. We have had engagements with various partners. We've also incorporated GAM with also stakeholders, that is government practitioners and everyone around that. And we hope that for the East African region, the community is more represented today in the meeting and will be able to share more as we go around. Thank you, Sama.
Thank you so much, Walid, for that update. This is a super great idea, especially linking the common ground approach with the grounded accountability. And now we will be going over the storytelling section, will be facilitated by our colleague Walid. Thank you, Walid, and will be also provided by Sholman. I will hand it over to you, Walid. Thank you.
Thank you so much, colleague Sama. So where we're going next is basically a storytelling session where we will have Chopin come on board and tell us in their setup and how effective it has been. Also interesting, if you remember, we had some small grants, I think last August, where we were able to have 3 small grants. So we will also have them come on board after Chopin, and they will be able now to tell us what innovative ideas and initiatives they undertook to implement this. So Chopin, please.
So what I'm really excited about GAM indicator, it is really good tool for composing stories, and especially for storytelling in peace building. And why I'm emphasizing peace building and why I'm speaking about peace building as a phenomena, for storytelling. Actually, I'm working in Central Asia. You know, the Central Asia Republic, it's post-former republics. And we mostly speak our local languages and Russian languages. And in local languages and in Russian languages, the peace building sounds very much artificial. It's not natural for us. And if you just put this peace building into Google in local languages, you will get just few links, and the majority of them will be referring to a UN organization. And actually, even here, I have translated the definition which is given by New Diplomatic Dictionary. And you see, it's provided the assumption that peace building, it is kind of peacekeepers, from 1990s. And again, it is the reference to UN organization. So what I am going to say that if we are saying just peace building, it's not clear for local people. It is absolutely, awkward to local people, and it's mostly connected with some kind of construction, with some kind of architecture, but it is really far from peace building. And probably last year in Central Asia Republic, mostly in Kyrgyzstan, we got the law on foreign agents. This law actually strongly limits the functionality of civil society, especially NGOs who are considered like a foreign agents. And we did the analysis, just trying to understand why the local population or community, they didn't support us at all, meaning the civil society acted in the Central Asia more than 30 years, but we didn't get the support from the local population, and why it's happened. And now we understand that we always, as a peace-building organization or development organization, we were accountable to donors, and we are reporting to the donors, and we even speak with the donor language, and our language is not very much understandable to local population. And if you see these two pictures, we are slightly accountable to community, but again, we quite superficially touch, and we were not accountable to community. And even we were able to build a nice story about our effort. Actually, we lost this game. And this is, you see the picture of our sessions. We have the project on freedom of religion, and here we were able to run this session on GAM indicators, trying to get those indicators which will be clear for community when we are speaking about freedom of religion, about the religious faith, the dialogue, and others, because when we are speaking about freedom of religion, it's also not clear for our audience. And in this session, we had the journalist, and for them, it was really exciting that the GAM can form the core of message, which is understandable to our audience. And they say that the GAM, it's not only indicator, it is a really good tool when we are speaking about communication, about storytelling. And actually, it is really good tool when we are describing our small grants and even deciding how the small grants should be shaped. Yeah, because again, GAM can identify the really grassroots related needs on a local level. And here you see the picture of the nomadic games. We have World Nomad Games every year, and the small grants usually have this assumption the sports is united. Sport is one of the good opportunity for small grants. When they utilize small grants, they are working on the GAM indicator that people of different ethnicity, of different religion can share or can organize the same event, for example, sport games. When we are speaking about storytelling, the sport can divide and strongly divide, and again can unite. And the picture of the international world nomadic game, which happen every year, and here the game between Kazakhstan and Kyrgyzstan. And it was a huge resonance when the Kyrgyzstan team they ignored the awarding ceremony because they claimed that the judgment or the referee was not fair, and they simply left the stadium here and didn't participate in the award ceremony. And it get resonated for a conflict actually in about 1 week or 2 weeks. Actually, two countries was really in a sharp position when the ethnic conflict can really were possible to happen. And another story, practically in a, let's say, same time. Here the picture, it is boxing ring, and you see two athletes. One of them in a blue, it's Kyrgyz, and in a red, it's Uzbek. And what you are seeing in their faces, it is Olympics. And nobody believe in Kyrgyz athlete who becomes second here, and he is laughing here. He is really happy because nobody believe in him, and even no one from his team and no coach was there. And Uzbek, it is a good opportunity when we say that sport is uniting. Here I did the assumption when we are speaking with our numbers, with indicators for our audience, these big numbers doesn't matter nothing. For example, here I translated that the trade turnover in Uzbekistan become this stuff, but when we have some dynamic, it's become a story, and we need to show this story. And what I'm going to say is that in 2025, nobody look for the stories through their website. They usually go through social media. And you see here was the clash when the social media is really a good platform where we are getting the stories. And website actually not relevant anymore. We mostly look from the source to the stories from the TikTok, and it's saying I am relatable, I am like you people. And even Instagram, which is speaking about perfect life, is not that much good. And here I'm demonstrating the result of one storytelling on our GAM indicator. It was GAM indicator about the domestic violence, and one indicator is about the early marriage. This our hero, she did the mini grant, and she did the story how she make girls able to speak loudly, that they need education, that they need to get that jobs they would like to, not being married in age of 15 or 16. and her story become very much virused, yeah, and she become popular in a one night actually, and she was not prepared for this resonated story, and she feel really vulnerable because she was just a simple teacher in the village, and for her it was a really huge challenge. And here in the final, why I am saying that game indicators are really suitable for storytelling. First, the game indicators create the practical message, and the message fits into one sentence, and it is understandable to the society. And if the message take a long time to explain, it means it is wrong message. Yeah, the message should be very clear, and game indicators is really given by community. And game indicators, they are from the community, and they're actually focused our attention to the community. We should remember for whom we are doing these stories. And what is also good for in indicators, in game indicators, it provides us the opportunity not be an expert. Yeah, it provides opportunity to be a human and tell the story from human position. I'm done. Yeah, thank you very much.
One for that interesting review and everything and input. And also thank you and congratulations for the good work that you're doing. We appreciate that a lot. Thank you so much. As I had said, we also had some Innovation Fund projects, 3 of them that were given around for those who wanted to implement or had proposed various ways on implementing GAM. And today we have 3 of them. I'd request them to remain. We will start with Nashwan Ahmed from Yemen, and then we will have, you'll forgive me for any misinterpretation, all from Nigeria, and then also with Olga from Colombia. I will start with Nashwan. Thank you. Welcome, Nashwan.
Thank you very much, Walid, and thank you very much, Emily, and all of our colleagues. I will present my presentation in Arabic, but in the slides we have both English and Arabic slides.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Nashwan Ahmed. I am the president of Aliman for Production, and it is a professional evaluation organization, and we are trying to care to support all of the evaluation between the peace and also the practical common grounds. I'm going to speak about our project in Yemen that we have done it under the administration of the UN, and we have had a workshop on how to story tell the digital stories and what did we do to train the participants, and we were able to provide all of the information. We were trying to train all the participants in Yemen on how to storytell, to catch the observations of the society about peace, about everything that's going on in Yemen right now, and without any external affairs and without any external participation. And of course, the picture is much better when it is local and there was no foreign exchange in it. We have tried to get participants from the women and men, and we have created 6 stories that reflects all the point of views of the Yemenis about peace and about justice and about what is going on recently in Yemen. And we have received support after that workshop to support the community. We are going to try and provide all the big columns of the methodology that we tried to implement. The workshop and everything that we have tried to do, the first step was about declaring and choosing the participants, and then developing the study groups, and then providing. The third step is going to be providing that workshop, and then after that, in the fourth step, we try to review the stories and approve it, and try and share it with the Search for Common Grounds and Emily from the organization to take her approval before we start sharing the stories. In the first step, we had 16 participants. We had 9 males and 7 females. Their geographical dispense inside of Yemen, they were from the south of Yemen, we had 10 participants, and from the middle of Yemen, 2, and then 1 from the north. We tried to create an organization that organization consists of 480 people, and we are trying to create evaluation, especially for the south areas. And the reasons for that is well known for every of our criteria. The criteria was they were able to reach to technology, whether it's a smartphone or a laptop, and they had to be committed to attend the 2 days of the workshop, and they had to have a suggested story. That story had to be along with the GAM information, and also we tried to separate them according to the geographic dispense in Yemen. In phase two, we try to develop all of our curriculum, and we have tried to make that in English. It had 4 parts. The first part on what is and how are we going to approve these stories. The second part was we tried to make sure that they have the abilities to take videos and be able to edit the videos and record the sounds. The third phase was to try and to produce the visual stories, and the last part we were just started to talk about the safety protocols and how to keep everybody safe and what is our information. We've had extra slides about the presentation and proofs in a step-by-step on all of these stories and all of these information, and we have tried to provide it by free tools in order for them to be able to participate. In phase 3, we were trying to provide the remote workshop. It was on 2 days. The first day I have spoken about what is the internal area about how to say story, and what is and how are we going to be able to take photos with the smartphone, and how are we going to be able to record the audio. The second day, we have provided information about how to use Canva, how to use CapCut, and how are we going to be able to create visual aids, and how are we going to be speaking about all of the ethical information, and at the end, how to produce these stories. And at the end, we have tried to provide some individual guidance sessions for all of these participants, and they have received free guidance on and also they have received a free Canva Pro account to be able to enhance their productions. In phase 4, we have provided us with the first parts of their stories in order for us to be able to review them, and then we provided them with all of the notes about what did they provide us with, and we have made sure about the technical quality. The fifth phase was to share with Emily and for the search for common grounds, and we kept following up with them, and they kept following up with us, and they tried to follow us, and we were able to provide them with all of the reports and what are the indicators that we have provided them with, and we have given that to Emily in order for her to review it and then approve it. Trying to speak about what were the digital stories that were provided to us. The first story was Road Without Safety, which tries and to speak about the challenges and the risks that we have about our infrastructure and how does that affect our daily life and how does it affect us. We've also spoken about another issue that speaks about the water rarity and how water is rare and how does that affect us in Yemen. And we try to speak about how are people suffering and the community is suffering because of the lack of water. We have also spoken about challenges and achievements of one of the young people in Yemen, and that person who had issues and he had a partial disability because of the wars and what happened in the war. So he has provided us with his personal journey and how did he celebrate small wins in these hard circumstances. We've also spoken about the marginalized people or the champions on earth, or trying to create local initiatives and also trying to help keep the environment safe. And we've tried also to speak about one of the digital stories about the electricity and about how the nights could be turned into fires without having the main services such as electricity. And last but not least, we have been trying to speak about recycling and what is the innovation solutions and the social achievements on recycling and how we were able to do it. Regarding the report on the indicators scheduled by the society, the main thing we're trying to speak about it, the essence of it, we're trying to speak about all of these indicators for the society, and it gathered all of these main topics and the stories that we have spoken about in the digital stories, which reflects what is and how the people are looking at on justice and peace in Yemen. We have started to analyze it. We have started to select the subjects and all of the recurrent challenges that we have had through all of these storytellers, which created a wide aspect about these cases, about these local cases. And we have tried at the end to try and measure based on these stories and what is the development that we were making, and if we are having any achievements in the initiative of peace building and justice in Yemen, and what are the indicators that we can look up to while we are trying to develop this kind of projects or interactions or interventions when it comes to peace building. Then after that, we have provided advice that we have to try and create suggestions for the future, and that was through taking these visions by the people and how are we going to be able to understand what is the importance of these stories. Let's try to talk about these challenges and what are the solutions. The first challenge was being unable to connect to the internet and unstable connection to the internet. We have tried to record all of the sessions, and we have been trying to communicate with the people offline and send them these recordings. And then what are the key notes that we have taken from that? What is the strength of the local voices, and what is the efficiency of the low technology, and how are we going to do that in the rest of Yemen? We have been trying also to simplify all the tools and give the people the ability to use simpler tools after they provided us with the stories. We have also tried to provide them all the information in Arabic and in English, and we have spoken about that. And we have chosen the participants based on sending them an online form, and then they provide us with the requests and then prepare them before the workshop. And it was from a lot of states like we have showed here. And then we've been trying to share all of these information and share our works and provide them with technical support, and how are they going to be able to do all of that. And how are we going to be able to provide them with all the digital abilities to try and provide us with all of this information. We have tried to be successful. We have tried to achieve all of these goals that we're trying to do, and we're wishing that we can repeat that in the future. Thank you so much, everybody. I appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Brother Nashwan, for that elaborate and well-detailed interventions in storytelling, and also on covering step-by-step storytelling together with also the interventions and the challenges that you've been facing. I am happy with the interventions and everything, and I believe everybody is. Mabruk, and thank you for that. Next, we'll welcome our colleague and brother from Nigeria, Olusegun, to give us what they've been doing with the innovation funds and what they've been able to achieve.
So, thank you so much. My name is Olusegun from Nigeria. So, the training for the GAM was on training on grounded accountability model in practice and engaging innovative approaches for sustainable impact on peace building programming in Nigeria. And this program took place between 12th to 13th of August in 2025. In essence, why this project was implemented is to support local CSOs and also NGOs, especially in the southwestern Nigeria. So the first stage was involving the rolling out of applications for participants for local NGOs and CSOs in southwestern Nigeria. And we covered about 5 states: Lagos, and Ogun State, your state, Osun State, and also one other state, I think. And we had about 100 applicants for the workshop that applied. while 25 participants were selected for the program. And they were selected based on what they provided in the application form, and also the need for the applications of GAM into their workplace. And in doing this, I was able to recruited 2 facilitators who are so much knowledgeable in terms of facilitations, whereby we were able to design the curriculum for this specific program or workshop. And the workshop took place in Lagos, where we have to provide accommodations for 25 participants that were recruited across 4 to 5 states in Southwest Nigeria. And they were provided with full accommodations and also some stipend for their transportation, and also feeding was also provided during the 2-day training workshop. While the workshop, as we involve in the participatory and engagement methodology in terms of providing these facilitations. While we have 25 participants, we have 44% were male, while 56% were female. So we have a kind of equal or a slight changes in terms of gender, but we have a gender balance in terms of people that were recruited for the training workshop. 7 modules was developed for the GAM workshop as relatable to what the participant really needed. Before we developed the modules were developed based on the baseline that we received from participants when applications were rolled out. So it helps us to develop what the participants really need for the GAM accountability model workshop. So, and this comes in terms from the introduction to measuring peace and understanding the everyday peace indicators, where we gave them the introduction aspects and also the introduction to GAM. And then we dive into the practical aspect of how communication with a local community can be enhanced in terms of developing indicators for their various programs, because all this comes across the issues of peace building, the issues of governance, and also the issues of education, because majority of our participants were local Western Nigeria, for them to be able to develop the indicators. We also get involved in do no harm and conflict sensitivity, as it is being applicable to GAM model when they are using it. Just like what I said, participants were drawn from Lagos, Ogun, Oyo, Osun State. All these 4 states comes from southwestern Nigeria. And this was also done to ensure, because we cannot go across Nigeria because of the limited fund we have, and also due to distance and also challenges. We limit our participants within the southwestern Nigeria. So during the 2 days, although before then, majority of our participants do not really know about GAM. After the workshop, we have 95% of our participants are confident in applying the frameworks of the GAM and also EPI in their workplace. And also we have increase in participants' ability to use the GAM and also to develop various indicators, because that was majorly very being emphasized, that they will be able to have the best from their programs. Because of time, I won't be able to go more and more and more. Although we face challenges in terms of the logistics aspects. The programs was hosted in an institution in Lagos called Yaba College of Technology, the Ekpe campus, while the accommodation was provided away from where the training was taken. We have challenges in terms of the transportations of participants. And also we have challenges of time. We would love to make the workshop probably like 5 days, 1 week, but due to funding and also the time constraint, we just have to manage what we have. But we look forward in terms of regular training, engaging ideas, sharing ideas, because currently we have a WhatsApp for all our participants for that, attend the workshop. Meanwhile, I have 2 of our participants on the call, though, that are volunteered to speak probably for 1 minute out of my 10 minutes, of my presentation. Can you just speak? Elijah is one of our facilitators and also a participant of the workshop. Can you speak your reflection about the workshop? Thanks.
All right, thank you. The workshop is actually a game changer for me. We all learned a whole lot of things about the grounded accountability model. And then we see that it's just beyond theory, it's more of practical. We see that there is need to use that in our daily work as peace building experts. And ever since then, I actually have a new approach to how project is being implemented, because most of our projects in the peace building space in Nigeria, we do not really use the grounded accountability model that is really grounded in the lived experiences of the communities that we serve. Due to the knowledge that we were introduced to during the course of the training, ever since then, each of the projects I've been a part of, I've always had to bring in the model to see how we can achieve more outcome. Yes, and it has really been productive over the few months. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak. Hi, everyone. I would say that the grounded accountability model was an eye opener for me. It was very engaging. As Mr. Shego already said, it was like a network of people who have knowledge of peace building and sharing experience from what they've done before and bringing the model down for us to understand what we could achieve with it. And as a peace builder, I have great insight on how I'll be able to introduce this model in carrying out projects in the community. And also, I believe that this model also will be able to ensure that we have real impact when it comes to localized projects. You make sure that the projects you're carrying out or you want to do is something that is going to address the problem of the people. Now you now understand that you'll be able to check what the people are going through and be able to design something that addresses that problem. And also I've been able to understand what, because it actually encompasses, and we had different models from conflict sensitivity to having different section actually. And now I now understand that with this model, we'll be able to do better. We'll be able to share stories, more of storytelling as well. And then you can connect with the people and make sure that you're making real impact. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much. All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for that. It's so interesting also that we were focusing on stakeholder engagement and introduction to the same. We appreciate the inputs from Africa. You've represented all of us. Thank you so much for that. We head next to Colombia, where our colleague Olga will be presenting what they've been able to do. Thank you.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to see you all. We have met before, so it's a pleasure to see you again. As mentioned, my name is Olga Lucia Suarez. I am part of an organization called GA Association, and I'm going to share with you the story of our small initiative that we developed in August. This is a story that took place in the south of Colombia in August. We are a human rights organization that has a we had this meeting with GAM experience in Timbio, Cauca, Colombia on August 14, 15, and 16 this year, 2025. GA is a human rights defender organization articulated with the social popular movement to build decent living conditions, and we work in peace building, participatory democracies in various territories in our country. I'm going to tell you later, I will tell you about our lines of work. As I was telling you, our strength has been our work on human rights, looking for justice, guarantees and protection, strengthening social movements, and also, so we work with a conceptual basis, with peace, decent life, territory, participation, and sovereignty. From there, we have these subjects and topics that have allowed us to make significant progress. For instance, pedagogy, teaching, memory, communications, legal support, articulation, protection, and impact. And as regards articulation, it is there where we wanted to develop our initiative. GA works in Colombia Latin America, in the south, in several regions in our country. We are in the northeastern region. In Catatumbo, we support a peasants or farmers organization. We also work in Putumayo, Caucala, and Caquetá. All of these territories have municipalities that are part of the Amazon. So there, with the southern organizations, we tried to develop our experiences where participants would be able to tell us about their experience in building the everyday peace indicators, but also having this methodology and telling us about this experience. So we had leaders from social organizations, of the integration committee, from the Huila Farmers Association, the ecological producers of Balboa Association, and as Proceed, that is part of COSURCA. All of these were the participating agencies. We developed this exercise in a very beautiful place in the Valley of Cauca. It is there that they have the COSURCA cooperative, and we managed to get to know how the cooperative works. The main objective is for participants not only to share their experience, but also to get to know each other, to get to know their work, their methodologies, to see how we were going to articulate as a network with the possibility, if they were willing.
That was a step-by-step approach. We started with the mystic. Mystica is the symbol where we were sharing all the items from all the organizations. As you can see, we can see the seeds and the fruits, the tea, coffee plants, which was a symbol that was our guiding light during all the days of the exercise. And this was really helpful to boost spirituality, to focus, and to have a more directed dialogue among all the stakeholders. We started from that sharing experience through the methodology, which is called the articulation, the dynamic, and thanks to that activity, we were able to share who we are, specifically on 4 pillars, to share the objectives of the organization, our work guidelines, the methodologies, and very important, the reflections about the peace-building process and what the territory means for the organizations and the leaders that were taking part in these activities. And in that experience sharing process, we were able to have a CIMA, Nariño, and EPI, and us as a MINA to share the whole exercise that we conducted a few years ago, which was how the methodology works, what type of indicators are relevant, the consultation on the working environment, the methodology of all the stakeholders, and we motivated further the organizations who were reaching our space to tell them if this was interesting or not to have this type of a GAM methodology approach. This exercise, this activity was very interesting because we were able to know the COSURCA cooperative. We went to the site, to the plant. We got familiar with all the articulation process, how the process is being managed. They told us about the museum, the memorial museum, and we were able to taste the delicious coffee that they are building at COSURCA. And we were able to meet the partners who work with the organization, who bring their coffee, and then there is treatment of the coffee. Very interesting because in the south of Colombia, actually, it's a very rich region for the coffee. So Simona Marina, they produce coffee, the ACDH produce coffee. So it was very interesting to see how COSURCA is a kind of cooperative given ideas to have a better articulation, and especially for the coffee export activities. So from all these activities, we had roadmaps emerging, very interactive roadmaps. Emily will share the link where you'll be able to find all the information, systematize the information with the objectives, the guidelines, and the methodology. Just to tell you that this is a farmers organization, so we are promoting live plans to work with seeds and agriculture activities, and this is very common for the farming organization. These organizations are actually part of one national platform called Coordinador National Agrario, and it was very important for them to take part in this national platform. And actually, with the COSURCA and all the other organizations, we realized that they have a very similar working line to those of the peers in this platform, and that's how we decided to move forward together. For instance, Astrobalbo had the task of going to Tamina, where there's an organization working very strongly with the young people. So they decided to go over there to work hand in hand with the young people. Also, another activity was to have from the EPI to set up one certifying training to other organizations for those who want to learn and get familiar with the GAM methodology. And the CDH, they want to take part and receive the information. Also, let's not forget that we have one video capturing the whole experience where you can listen to the testimonials of the people taking part in these activities, and they explain how important it is to organize this type of events because it really strengthens the GAM methodology, and they really appreciated the cultural dialogue. And thank you very much for your attention today and for being able to share with you this experience, which was very important for me. Thank you very much, and over to you.
Thank you so much, Olga, for that participatory as well as innovative approach. I could see Daniel, my fellow regional lead. So greetings, by the way. So thank you so much for the whole team that has presented. This has shown basically, as I give it to Emily, this has shown that GAM is basically universal. We've had how people from different parts of the world, Colombia, Nigeria, Yemen, have been able to implement, and we ourselves have been able to also implement the same. So mine is to say that we can borrow ideas. It's always good to share, and we can always take this forward, and GAM is here and GAM is impactful. And also thank you so much for your time, and thank you all the presenters.
Firstly, thanks to all the presenters for sharing their insightful experience, and congratulations on this great work. And thank you, Walid, for the great facilitation, much appreciated. Now, our colleague Omar in this section will be sharing with us his experience in technological innovation, particularly on how AI technology can be applied in strengthening participatory research within the grounded accountability model framework. Omar, the floor is yours.
Thanks for having me here. Today I want to talk about, exactly as Samah said, technological innovations and how AI has been applied and how we've been applying it at Search. First of all, I'll just introduce myself. I'm Omar Salim. I'm a research evaluation and learning officer with Search for Common Ground. I'm based in Bujumbura, Burundi, but I work regionally around Africa and the Middle East. First, I'd like to just start by demystifying AI, and particularly the type of AI that we at Search for Common Ground are using, and that I think will be beneficial for us in GAM. AI is a big term and has a lot of loaded meaning. If we think of language as a forest, so all of the languages of the world combined as a forest, NLP is the map of the forest, and an LLM is the GPS unit that can help you navigate through that forest. So when you're using an LLM, you're really asking it to help you navigate through a linguistic forest. And it can answer all kinds of questions for you, draw pictures, et cetera, et cetera. One of the things I've built, and I think, Emily, I'm not sure if you can click on these and play the sound.
Yeah. People in my neighborhood don't trust the local authorities to solve disputes. So we prefer to keep problems inside the community.
So I think you all get the point, is that so what I did here is I took snippets of people talking, and these aren't actually people talking. I generated these myself. These aren't real people. They just are statements from people. Then this is a tool that I built out of Kobo Toolbox. I think we're all familiar with Kobo Toolbox. So each of these then is a piece of a statement that is then an answer, an audio answer to this form in Kobo Toolbox. And you can just speak naturally, right? So for example, in Khuna there in Yemen can know that this isn't exactly Fusha. It's slightly Yemeni. And for example, in French, it's not, so I made it purposely so that it's more natural. And I'll explain what I mean by that. So from those submissions, those 5 statements, 6 statements that I had, you can see on the far right, the original quote in the original language. And on the far left, you can see the indicator that was created based on that person's statement. So in this tool, people can speak for about 10 minutes. These are just easy examples I wanted to show. I can't talk for 10 minutes. So each of these indicators, but you can see, you can read a bit that it generated pretty good indicators based on what the person is saying in their name. And then it's giving me an indication of whether it's smart, the type of theme, the level of what the metric is actually saying. Is it an output or an outcome indicator, etc. That's just from that simple example I created for this presentation only. So that's a tool. If you're interested in learning more about how I built that tool, I'm happy to connect at another time, and Emily can give you my contact. This is the second thing that I want to show you, that AI agents can actually help you do some of this work. So I created a custom GPT using OpenAI, ChatGPT. And I recently conducted a GAM-like session. It was a focus group online with about 6 or 7 participants from Tanzania. And they were mixing Swahili and English. And similar thing, it gave me a rating of English, gave me, based on these 20 pages of people talking naturally. So again, they're mixing languages, they were using colloquialisms, idioms, etc. We were able to get these 20 indicators, and upload this 20 pages in a matter of a second or two. I have these 20 indicators that are pulled out for me. We then put it back to these participants to vote on via Google form, and it was a way for them to decide which of these 20 indicators were most important. And of course, we can tune it to be 100 indicators or whatever, however much the data could support. But then again, you see it's based on, it gives you a theme, gives you the level of verifiability, whether it's an outcome or an output indicator, whether it's smart or spiced, and whether or not it aligns with this had to do with the Freedom of Religion and Belief project. For fun, and for those of you that like spicy food like me, I called it Spicy Smart GPT. It's a custom AI agent that you can access as well. And if you have OpenAI, the advanced version, you can use it, and I'll give it to you for free. All of this is just to say a few takeaways. There's a lot of stuff that's scary here. I'm sure even for our interpreter friends, as they're seeing this, maybe that immediately we can take natural language and turn it into something that we need immediately. So my main takeaway from using this in practice has been that these technological innovations have actually given us more room to build trust and have human interactions. So instead of, for example, getting this group for 2 days, you could use 1 day to build trust, drink coffee, have tea, go out and have and meet each other, really get to know each other, and then use these tools to enhance the data that you're getting. Because as we know, the GAM process is very reliant on trust. So if you don't build that trust first, it's hard to get good data. So in fact, by saving the time that you're writing, and then you're analyzing, you're letting the robot do that, so to speak, and you're using your human abilities to connect with others and build those relationships. And I just on that same note, nothing that I've tested so far could ever replace that human facilitation. So in all of these scenarios, when I tested it with the Tanzanian group, I had to be there. If I wasn't there, it wouldn't have worked. Or me and my colleagues, if we weren't there guiding people on how to use these tools, they wouldn't have worked in the way that they did. Obviously, it's super, super important to have ethical guardrails around this, have clear policies, know the types of tools you're using, and be very transparent with the people you're using them with about what it is that you're doing and how you're using it. And finally, just to say that current LLMs have a tier rating system. So as we think about GAM and accessibility and inclusion of minority groups, one of the things that's a limit to this is that, and you can even ask ChatGPT or the other LLMs, Gemini, Anthropic, etc., to rate themselves at their ability to know different languages. So for example, English, Spanish, French are tier 1 languages. Arabic is a tier 2 language. Swahili is a tier 2 language. But here in Burundi, it's a tier 3 language. So that means that it's not able to transcribe and quote unquote understand that those tier 3 languages as much as, say, a Western European language or something like Mandarin, for example, just because there's not enough data for it to have known that. And so that can be a big barrier when we think about inclusion. So a final note is that there are interesting projects out there that are trying to, for example, build on different dialects of Arabic. For example, in South Sudan, South Sudanese Arabic is very different. And if the way they speak is very different from the way that maybe Samah speaks, or the way that maybe I speak. And same with different dialects of English. So there's projects out there. So if you have a chance to work with them, especially my African colleagues, or those of you in South American working with indigenous languages, that speed at which these can be used in those languages moves with the speed at which those models can use those languages. And of course, happy to answer any questions. I know that was a lot.
Thank you so much, Omar, for this very insightful presentation. It's amazing how we can track the new technologies, particularly the AI technology, and to use them in advancing or enhancing our participatory research. I wanted to open the space for any questions, any ideas. Yes, Nashwan, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Just my question for Omar, Emily, and all. Indeed, we are in Yemen working on developing platform that will accelerate the decision making in humanitarian development and peace context, especially like Yemen, Somalia, Horn of Africa, Syria, Palestine, and other area for Ukraine that are in line with the criteria, global standards, and OCHA and others. Are there any chance for more engagement with us to work together in voluntary way to complete such a great platform that will accelerate the decision making and make the intervention arrive faster, on time, and in more quality? Over to you.
Yeah, that's a really great question. So we certainly at Search are doing a little bit of our part in the peace building sector, but I know of a lot of very, very smart people that are dedicated humanitarians that are working on this. Particularly, there's a project out of University College of London that's working on developing actually a tool specifically. It's a tool for humanitarians to develop AI tools for humanitarians, if that makes sense. It's a tool to make tools. So that's a new one that's coming up. So I think the more that we collaborate and contribute, there is a community out there. And if you get in touch with me after this, I'll happily connect you with some of the networks that we have around
Thank you
AI and tech. Yeah.
Thank you.
That's great. Thank you, Omar, and thank you, Nashwan. Now I will hand it over to Oscar for sharing the next steps for our COP.
Hey, thank you, Ahmad. This is the opportunity to not only thank you all of the people who have participated today on the community of practice, but for everybody that have participated in this year communities of practice. As probably many of you know, we are ending one of our experience on the community of practice that was run or was lead with these innovations practices and around this innovation fund that Search for Common Ground organize for moving this community of practice. And as we are ending this experience on these innovation funds and the projects that were presented today, now we faced the question on what is going to happen next on this community of practice. Any ideas that you have on the next steps on this community of practice? At least for now, Search for Common Ground and Everyday Peace Indicators, we are committed on keeping going on this community of practice. But we have a real environment of the peace field and related field in the world, and it's that the funding for our projects is really short. And now we face the reality that we have to think on this community of practice, not only as a community of practice run by funded projects, but by the initiatives of the people who gather around this community of practice. I would like to ask if any one of you have any creative ideas on how to keep going on this effort, on this joint effort that we've been for around 3 or more years now. I invite you that in the next days you write to us, to Emily or to me, and share with us any ideas that you have around this, because this community of practice, or at least this year, we were really engaged in the idea of doing this community of practice not only something that is set for Common Ground and EPI leads, but also that something that anyone in the community of practice can lead. No? And this year we have this really interesting experience on the regional champions leading the COP. The last two COP have been led by different community of practice members, and this has been an amazing experience. So I'm going to start reading some of the things that the people are writing down. And if you have any other ideas, please write it now on the chat. Olga says that it would be really interesting to hear the voices of some of the participants of the COP, of the gatherings that were held these past months on the innovation funds. It would be interesting to hear the voices of the participants of those gatherings, to know their opinions of what they thought on these gatherings and these workshops that have been held on the past. So that's a great idea for our next community of practice. And again, we're not going to close the floor for the ideas of how to keep going on this community of practice. You can write to us, and we need to start thinking on how to face a community of practice in the middle of the reality that we have now. So please write to us, think about it, and keep creating this amazing project that has been this community of practice that has to overcome the challenges that funding, but also the challenges that the different contexts where we lived put us in front. So I think that for today we are on time to start closing this COP. So I pass again the voice to Sama, that has been terrific and lovely leading for today's COP.
Thank you so much, Oscar. So we have reached the final section of this meeting. I will open the floor for any announcement that you would like to share with the members, any of the regional support, maybe Emily or the regional leads. Any announcement would you like to share before closing this meeting? Yes, Omar, go ahead.
Maybe could as an idea for getting some more dialogue and discussion around the COP, would it be okay to come up with a polis or a remesh thing that we could use to deliberative technology, that it's multilingual, so we can all put in statements and you can translate, and then everyone can contribute ideas and we can vote and up down ideas and that type of thing. Would that sound good?
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone, for your active participation today. It was really a productive session. We look forward to meet again in our next COP meeting, and we are always available, Emily and I and everyone, through the email. Thank you so much.